the LGBTQ+ movement, specifically the Freedom to Marry movement in the United States. The movement was instigated in the 1970s and 80s due to oppression and unfair treatment of the LGBTQ+ community, which had gone on for many years prior and continues to occur. Gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender individuals were feared, seen as sinful, and ostracized from society in the U.S. Then, in 1983, Evan Wolfson wrote his thesis on gay marriage. His actions and words got the ball rolling, sparking conversations and motivation that was not yet widespread in the States. However, some LGBTQ+ individuals resisted the idea of pushing for legalization of same-sex marriage, claiming that marriage is a patriarchal institution and that the pursuit thereof would hinder the likeliness of other, more realistic successes. Still, the movement pushed forward. LGBTQ+ people, allies, and activists were organized into groups that met on a regular basis. Various sponsors and supporters were brought in to push the effort forward. In 2003, the Freedom to Marry movement was officially organized. One woman who was particularly prominent and successful in the fight for legalization of same-sex marriage is Mary Bonauto. She initially got involved because she was one of 3 openly gay practicing lawyers in the state of Maine. Her wife is a professor at the University of Maine Law School. She contributed to the movement by battling for same-sex marriage in the states of Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Maine. She also fought federally in front of the Supreme Court. In 1997, she headed a case for 3 couples in front of the Vermont Supreme Court to secure the right to same-sex marriage and won. Because of that win, in the year 2000, civil unions were legal for same-sex families. She went on to win a case in Massachusetts that she filed on behalf of 7 gay and lesbian couples in 2001. Then, in 2003, the court ruled in favor of her argument that excluding gay people from civil marriage violates equal protection guarantees in the Constitution. In 2008, she argued in front of the Connecticut Supreme Court and won the ruling, claiming that it was unjustified discrimination to place same-sex couples in a separate and lesser status of civil union. She continued her work in 2009 in Maine when she helped campaign to enact a same-sex marriage law through the legislature instead of the court system. She also headed a public hearing where proponents and opponents presented their argument for the law. In 2015, she was selected to argue in front of the Supreme Court on behalf of the Michigan DeBoer v. Snyder case and the Kentucky Love v. Brashear case. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of Bonauto and other plaintiffs and declared that all state bans on same-sex marriage were unconstitutional. The obstacles she faced were only securing civil union in Vermont, since the legislation was decided by the Vermont legislature and not the courts. The case in Massachusetts took 3 years to close. After the decision in Maine in 2009, the people vetoed the court's decision by a small margin. In response to this veto, she helped create a 2-year public education campaign. As a result, in 2012, the people ultimately confirmed the law that had been passed in 2009. She received various forms of recognition for her activism. She was awarded the Brudner Prize from Yale University, was named one of the 50 most powerful women by Boston Magazine and one of Equality Forum's 31 icons of the LGBT History Month. She has been credited with the success of achieving marriage equality in 2015, has been called the LGBTQ's Thurgood Marshall, and was awarded as Honorary Doctor of Law by Harvard University for bringing about the freedom to marry for same-sex couples. The Freedom to Marry movement was dissolved in 2016 after the legalization of marriage on June 26, 2015. The diligent nature and perseverance of the movement and those involved is eloquently summed up by this quote from Barack Obama. Progress on this journey often comes in small increments, sometimes 2 steps forward, 1 step back, propelled by the persistent effort of dedicated citizens. And then sometimes there are days like this when that slow, steady effort is rewarded with justice that arrives like a thunderbolt. Because of the Freedom to Marry movement and effort from those like Mary Bonauto, LGBTQ+ citizens can enjoy the same rights as straight and cisgender citizens.